Welcome to the Sign Off, the marketing podcast for marketing people who want to chat about marketing. Every 2 weeks, we'll be chatting about a topic and how brands are using it to see if we'll give it the sign off. I'm Liz Hawkins.
And I'm Lydia Jones. We've made marketing and now we teach marketing and are generally a little obsessed about marketing. So if you want to listen to two Gen Xers talk about marketing in today's crazy old world, stick around.
This episode, we've been sucked into the Jaguar furore. Shall we kick off with a bit of a rundown as to what's happening at the moment?
What the hell is going on?
Properly kicked off, hasn't it?
Goodness me, my entire LinkedIn feed is basically people having opinions about this rebrand.
Yeah.
So do you want me to start and say what the hell has happened?
Yeah. Before we kick off, though, one thing that has royally annoyed me is that hate piece that you sent me from the Daily Mail.
Oh
I was
goodness.
like, I don't care how much you hate the work product I do. You don't put it in a national newspaper with my face attached to it.
Yeah, it's absolutely disgusting.
That's disgusting.
Yeah, well, we can get into that.
But,
Poor guy. Named and shamed.
That's horrendous.
Well, so what Jaguar has done, if you have been in a cave for the last week, you might not realise, they've basically launched a 30-second teaser ad and a new logo and a new mark, which is the sort of circular thing you stick on the car, I think.
Yeah.
And basically a press release saying what the hell they're doing. And everyone seemingly in the marketing industry and several commentators have lost their minds. And
properly lost their shit about it.
It's absolutely, I personally think it's absolutely hilarious, but that's just me. So yeah, that's what's happened. So bear in mind, let's have a little bit of context.
Yep.
It's a teaser.
Okay.
And there's no car in the 30-second thing, which everybody thinks is hilarious also. And it's a rebrand, essentially. So they got a new looking logo. They've gone from a serif, slightly old-fashioned font, I would say, but evocative of Jaguar anyway. It's been that way, sort of. I mean, people have evolved their logos, and that's absolutely fine.
Let's be honest, it hasn't been a British brand since 2008 when they sold it over to that Indian company, Tata. So,
yeah,
it has moved. It should have moved on.
Yeah, but I mean,
we're not good at letting things go. Let's be honest.
Not very good indeed. So they've got a sort of fancy, more modern font. There's a capital A in there.
It's a capital G.
Oh, it's a G. Yes, you're right. Sorry.
It's lowercase.
Should I actually look at the blooming thing? Yeah.
It's lowercase, capital, lowercase.
Is the J lowercase though? Because it could be an uppercase. You just don't know. Although it doesn't have the T thing.
No.
Anyway, I'm not a font expert, but they changed the font. They've still got the name. That's good. And then they've got this kind of mood picture of like a little bit of a car, which looks like an air conditioning unit, I think. Do you?
Do you know what? I didn't even realise that was the car.
What did you think it was?
I didn't know what it was. I just thought it was, some sort of ambient futuristic picture, with the pink background.
Yeah.
It feels very much like some sort of sci-fi opening scene, when you got like...
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't clock that it was a car.
Well, I think that is the car.
It is the car.
Or a bit of the car. Anyway, I don't see any recognisable car bits.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's that. And then it's got a new mark, which is the J and the R of Jaguar. I actually personally really like that bit.
Do you know what? I liked it. I think it looks nice and simple. I like the slightly...
Classy.
Pinky gold.
Lovely. Rose gold. Very popular. I love rose gold.
I showed it to my husband. He didn't get it. Didn't think it was Jaguar at all. Didn't even clock it was Jaguar because he's not in marketing, so he's not seen all of the furore.
Does he like cars then?
And he went, "Oh, is that some new makeup you want for Christmas?"
Well, it is out of context, you see. If you see it on the back of a Jaguar,
maybe
you'll become, that's the Jaguar car. Right. So the old one, obviously, has got the leaping Jaguar cat thing. They've had that for years and years and years, and they've got like all capitals, and it's a serif font, like at Times New Roman or whatever the font is. That's what they've done.
Yep.
And they've said, right, they're going to launch the actual cars at Miami Art Week. Lovely.
Oh, interesting. It's Art Week.
Art Week, yeah.
So they're almost taking it out of the car sector and putting it in as a something different.
Yeah,
an
object of art. Yeah. So that is exactly their strategy. Okay.
I think that's quite cute. I like that.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it? So who knows what it's going to be? It's like people in marketing particularly, and I suppose like people in cars, and if they've been paying attention, a huge like jump on and like tear down essentially. Oh my God, it's ridiculous. So do you want me to give a bit more context as to why they're doing this?
Yeah, what's happening actually in Jaguar? What's prompted this
massive
move?
So,
well, it's not massive. Is it massive? Yeah.
Well, I think it's quite significant for the brand.
Yep.
So what is really going on in Jaguar is they're not doing very well. They're basically failing.
Colour me shocked.
Yeah, they're not doing very well at all. I found this in Attitude, the car journalist, who actually went and have seen the car, but he's under NDA.
Okay.
He said the car maker was losing £1 for every £3 its Land Rover sister was making. So it's Jaguar Land Rover.
Yeah.
Okay, Land Rover makes all the money, and Jaguar basically is a bit of a drain on the... So they don't actually make any profit on any of their cars.
And we also have to remember that Land Rover is incredibly fashionable at the moment. So they are selling really, really strongly.
They are. Yeah, it's absolutely.
So, yeah, I can see where Jaguar Land Rover would go, look, we're making oodles here and not doing so well here. So let's take a bit of a risk.
Well... Essentially, they've got nothing to lose because they're already losing. They sold 180,000 units in 2018 and they only sold 60,000 units in 2023. So that's a third of the units.
That's a lot.
And so they massively need to do something different. There's also quite an interesting thing in terms of the average sale price. So, for example, Jaguar's sale price in 2019 was £44,000.
Is that all?
Yeah. And they're not making any profit. In Land Rover, they sell fewer units, but they sell them for more margin.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
Land Rover and Range Rover make reportedly 25,000 profit per unit.
Okay.
Dollars, that is. And Jag is making a loss on each car. So that's why it's a drain. So basically, it's going to die. So this is their kind of last gasp effort in terms of like trying to revive the brand. So that's why they're doing something so radical.
Yeah.
And that's why, exactly what you said, it doesn't feel like a car ad. It feels like, I don't know, a fashion ad or an art ad or something. So that's entirely the strategy. They're trying to make it an art object rather than an actual car in a way. And they're trying to sell it for over $100,000. So it's not exactly inclusive.
No.
So we'll get on to the craft in a minute.
Yeah.
But that's the strategy, right? So they need to do something completely radical. Now, whether or not this thing is actually radical enough, we'll find out. But that's why they're doing it, because they're in the shit, basically.
In terms of options, what did they do? They came up with this idea and they launched it. They started teasing it out quite a while ago. It wasn't like weeks. They started talking about it two years ago.
Yeah. So they announced this, like, I think it's called like Project Redesign or something like that. And they announced it roughly 2 years ago. So it's been in the offing for a long time.
Yeah. So it's taken them 2 years. And they announced it.
I mean, it's about 6 days ago.
Do you know what? It feels like ages ago. There's been so much about it. Yeah. I feel like I've been consuming it for like weeks.
Everyone's got an opinion, haven't they?
Oh, massively.
Absolutely.
So they sent out this teaser and people lost their mind. And the teaser shows it's in really vivid colours. If you haven't seen it, it's in really, really vivid colours with a whole variety of different types of people in it. And
including a man in a dress.
Oh my word. Absolutely horrendous.
I laughed and laughed because I just knew that all of those old windbags would absolutely hate it.
What's the male version of pearl clutching?
I think we can be inclusive now and say pearl clutching.
Okay,
because it's basically that.
Just I was thinking of old fusty colonels, maybe they're holding their medals or something. I don't know.
Suddenly stand up and say the national anthem.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, so there was this really very, very sneering backlash.
Absolutely. Horrendous.
On the flip side, though, I have to say there has been some very, very creative and very, very funny memes and TikToks about it. So, as you know, let's not be too... it was all bad. No, people have poked a bit of fun at it, and they've done a very good job in some places.
It's very, very memeable. One of my favourite comments has been they look like extras out of The Fifth Element. Which is so funny.
It is.
Have you seen The Fifth Element?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's one of my favourite films. Love it.
Oh my God. I rewatched it like maybe a couple of months ago. It's so good.
Yeah.
Gary Oldman can do no wrong.
Oh.
Isn't he awesome in that?
Very, very good. And I love the fact that Jean-Paul Gaultier did all of the design for the clothes.
Absolutely.
It was amazing. If you're just listening, it's very bright colours.
Saturated colours, I think, which was the thing, right?
Okay.
It was kind of pink and there was reds and like sort of peaches and stuff like that. Yeah. And it seems to me like they were on some like alien world. No?
Yeah, 'cause it was all white background, wasn't it? And
Yeah.
these very, very vivid people.
Yeah.
And then there was words over the top in certain statements, things like
Create exuberance. Live vivid. Delete ordinary. Break molds. Copy nothing. So the copy nothing thing is actually part of their heritage.
Yeah.
The founder, Sir William Lyons, who originated Jaguar, said that a Jaguar should be a copy of nothing. Do you want to talk about the copy first, or do you want to talk about the art direction first? Because we've started talking about the art direction, about like it looks like it's sort of offcuts from The Fifth Element.
Yeah, let's do the because I actually think the copy's not bad.
I think it's terrible.
I actually quite think it's quite inspiring, but I think it's just kind of the juxtaposition of both of them is a bit weird. And
I like the people who suddenly they're facing that way and then they all look off to the side. That's brilliant. Sorry, carry on.
and to me, I have to say I spent a lot. I watched it like 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
Just to try and kind of understand what was going on.
I'm none the wiser.
I'm not normally stupid, but I really struggled with this one. And I was like, right, okay, just focus on the people and then just focus on the words and then try and absorb it all together.
I remember there's got like a person with a hammer.
Yes.
Break moulds.
Oh, see, didn't get that. I was just like, DIY?
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a bit on the nose for me, clearly. Let's go with the pictures first.
Okay, go on then.
See, not a car ad for me. And I was a bit like, well, who is this actually for? And then when I was watching it the third time, I was like, yeah, basically they're saying it's for anybody that's got the money.
Rich young people.
And they're trying to attract younger people, clearly.
Yep.
And the EDI part of it is part of that story. But what I have got a problem with is if you're not in that category, what do you identify with? Which from a normal...
Do you mean if you're not in that category, i.e. you're an old white man?
No, I was thinking if you're a straight white young bloke.
Well, I'm sure that, do we not all know that the white men in that thing were gay?
Yeah, and I was thinking the big part of Jaguar previously was this very masculine, aspirational kind of driver brand. And I was thinking, does any of that come across? You know, what am I aspiring for? Is there any inspiration in there? So that's when and I was looking at the people and I was thinking, oh, well, none of that is for me, obviously, because I'm old and white and also a woman, and I'd never buy a Jag anyway. And then I was thinking about my guys for marketing management and thinking about the groups of people we've got in there. Would that appeal to any of them? Because, you know, we are a bit single white female in marketing management. We have got a couple of blokes that are sports guys. We have got some inclusive and diverse people. And I was thinking, who in there would, you know, relate to that, and whether they would or not. And I was like, I'm not sure. So I don't know. What do you think? You being in the other side of the category.
What, me being in the diversity and inclusion category?
I mean, do you identify with that?
What, as in, do I identify being in that category?
Did you identify with the advert? Did that make you feel included? Did you feel seen for that advert? I'm assuming that's what they...
Well, I don't feel seen because I'm not a 6'5" model. Like, that's literally who they've got in there. Like, there's no short, fat people in there either, Liz. No. Like, it's very difficult to be inclusive in a 30-second ad.
Yeah.
But, like, when I watched it, because I saw the furore on my LinkedIn, and I was like, what the hell is going on? And then I went and watched it, and my first reaction was, fucking hell. like that. I was like, whoa.
It is really.
It's really. And then I laughed because I'm like, people are going to hate this.
Yeah.
And I don't feel seen because I'm not in the market for a Jag, because I don't have $100,000 to spend on a Jag. But I can see why they've done it. And okay, so the actual craft of it, we'll talk about the copy in a minute. They say copy nothing, right? But yet it feels a bit
done.
As in, let's have all these different looking people in the sort of like, you know, we've got a man in a dress and we've got a very beautiful black model and we've got like, you know, everyone sort of represented in a way. Like, come on, like Dove has been doing that for 15 years, right?
Yeah.
So just having different looking people in your ad is not diverse in a way. But it's ironic considering that the idea is copy nothing, okay? The essence of it, I've looked it up, is exuberant modernism.
Yeah,
okay?
I get that.
Which I like as an idea, exuberant modernism.
Yeah.
Brilliant, lovely, exuberant. Who doesn't like that? Modernism, they need to be modern, right? Because they're taking the next step. But it doesn't feel exuberant modernism in the sense of the actual craft of it. And if they've been working on it for 2 years, it does look a bit like I've decided this by committee, I'm afraid. And this is me being really harsh. But I do want to first say that I know how difficult it is to redo a brand when A, you're in trouble, and B, like there's a huge amount of pressure on the line. And you say it's been like 2 years in the making. I bet that thing that we've seen that everybody is crowing over, which I think is harsh, isn't the thing that originally it was intended. That's my guess.
Do you think?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So I don't think that is originally what they wanted to do, like the craft of it, let's say. I think the intention, so being exuberant, being modern, we need to do something radical in order to try and counter this failing brand because no one's buying it, you know? I mean, to be 30% of your sales 4 years afterwards is the death knell of a brand, right?
You can hear the death march, can't you?
Yeah, exactly. So I applaud them for doing something bold. I absolutely do. But I think, the timing. 2 weeks after Trump coming in, which is basically man in a dress, everybody's going to hate.
Yeah.
Anti-woke brigade is very powerful.
At the moment,
They're going to absolutely bloody hate it. Also,
they've waited 2 years. I wonder why they did choose now. Is that... I don't know the car sector.
I have no idea either. So, I'm sorry. I don't.
And you've waited.
Ironically, I've worked literally on every single category except automotive. So, like, me having opinions about this is ridiculous.
Well,
but
clearly they chose this time for a particular reason.
Well, because December thing is Miami Art Week. That's what they wanted to do. What I do know is that they sought inspiration from the art world, couture, fashion, high-end stuff and architecture. So that's why that looks like it does. And also you've got this kind of like AI thing that's happened, which didn't happen when they first started this project. Yeah. So it looks a bit AI-y in a funny sort of way.
It does look like...
So like copy nothing is double ironic for that. And copy nothing is, okay, and originally, a copy of nothing. But personally... You want to talk about the copy now because I hate it.
Yeah, go for it.
It's generic and it's.
Do you think it's trite?
It's something that ChatGPT could pop out. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, people who worked on it. That is terrible. Break molds or whatever. Like, come on. You're trying. Basically, it's saying we are different. We're going to do something different, and it does look different. That doesn't look like a car ad of any sort. But just saying you're different, I think, isn't enough.
Well, it's that old adage: if I have to keep telling you I'm different, where's the evidence of that?
Yeah,
different how and different in a positive way. I mean, there's no product in there to say how different.
Well, it is a teaser.
Yeah.
So we're going to get the actual ads and all of the car ads, and with all the blooming driving and all of that sort of stuff. So. Car advertising is very, very generic, most of it. It all looks the same. The only thing that's different really is the mark, Oh, can you tell that's the difference between a Ford Fiesta and a, I don't know, Fiat Punto or something? They still have Puntos, I don't know.
Yes, they do.
Great. So, you know, or a Hyundai or whatever, right? They all kind of look the same, and they're very, very conventional. There are very few brands that have actually really broken the mold. I think Honda with the Power Dreams is one example. That is amazing advertising from Wydens. You know, years and years and years of brilliant, brilliant campaigns. And Audi. You know, I think Audi, when BBH were top of their game, doing all of those Audi adverts, Audi Clowns, do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, amazing. You know, and I remember I read the IPA paper, shout out Will Lyon, he wrote it or had help writing it. He won Grand Prix IPA, well done. But he talked about the craft of it was excellent. You know, the music made it. It was Radio 2 songs with Radio 6 cover version. So it was all kind of like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it was about the car. You know, Audi Clowns is about that sort of automatic sensing thing. So it takes over so you don't have an accident. But it was about, they were all about the features of the car, but done in a really beautiful way. But we'll have to see what Jaguar do with their actual ads.
Yes. And it must, I mean, just to compound it, it must be really, really difficult because there's so much turbulence in that sector, and there's so much tech change coming. And also governments are taking such an interest in EV vehicles at the moment, and about incentivising and some of the restrictions of. So it must be difficult to look too far ahead.
I mean, Jaguar, the reason why they've done this also, not only are they a failing brand in terms of sales and basically people really even thinking of them, so I bet their salience is pretty terrible as well. They're a bit old-fashioned, as we know, like the old Jeremy Clarksons of this world probably like them.
I do. The Jag.
Yeah, the Jag. So they've got a slight image problem in terms of people who buy them probably going to be dead soon, relatively. So they need new people coming in, right? So that's why they've gone after this kind of younger, richer market. They're also going to be an electric-only brand. It's funny, like this copy of nothing. But they are literally copying every other car brand currently because they're forced to. Like the UK government's basically said, you're not going to be able to sell diesel cars or petrol cars by, what is it? Like something really soon, like 2030, isn't it? Or something like that, or maybe 2035, like super soon. So they have to. It's not like they've just taken a stance, right, we're electric only, off we go. No, they've been forced to. So copying nothing actually doesn't make sense because they are literally having to do this thing. But you're right in the sense of like trying to be future-proofed. Like we know that electric is going to be the future. We can't keep burning stuff. Like literally cannot.
No.
Otherwise we're all effed. Proper effed.
Yes.
So, you know, this is why, like, we need nutcases like Elon Musk to, like, push everybody forward. Like, love him or hate him, he has started this revolution, or at least, like, been very, very prominent in forcing people and forcing the old car industry to become electric. So, yeah.
It's interesting. It's interesting what Robert Mayhew said.
Oh, he's brilliant on TikTok. He's hilarious.
He said that Jaguar isn't interested in your nostalgic memories of good old days when Top Gear was peak entertainment and casual sexism was just banter. Yeah. And you know what? I kind of agree with him, but I still think there is a real visceral pleasure in driving, going on an open road. It's a nice experience. Whereas this,
I love it.
Feels really preachy and, you know. I don't know.
You think this spot feels preachy?
Yeah. It's like, it's going to be a work of art. How functional is it?
Well, we don't know yet because it's just a teaser, Liz. Just a teaser. Shall we make a judgment when it actually comes out? Maybe this time next year we'll see. Actually, I've seen that their vehicles aren't actually going to be around until 2026.
Oh my God!
So we've got quite a long time to wait.
It's a really long time to hate this advert.
Well,
a teaser.
I think the challenge my old friend Rory Sutherland,
your mate,
my mate, who doesn't know who I am, but he said about electric vehicles, one of the measures of success for electric vehicles should be whether or not people ever go back to petrol.
Weirdly enough, I know this is a sample of two. So I had lunch with my neighbours yesterday, and two of them have got electric cars, and both of them are getting rid of them.
Why then? Why did they say?
Because they're such a ball ache to charge.
In Brighton.
Finding a charger, finding the right charger, getting it done quickly enough. So
infrastructure's not there yet.
So both of them are getting rid of them.
That's challenging. Whereas if you've got a big old boomer house with a nice big driveway, you can put a thing on there and plug it in. Yeah.
And the other thing is, both of them work from home, whereas my other neighbour who works here obviously can use the chargers in the car park.
Yes.
And that isn't a problem. And he really likes his car.
Yeah.
So I think infrastructure it needs to step up if the government is going to say no cars at 2030.
That isn't necessarily because they don't like the car experience, as in driving, right? It's just a ball ache to charge because they don't have home charging, right?
Yeah, both of them have had it 18 months.
And they're getting rid of it. Yeah, my dad's just turned fully electric. He had a hybrid for a while. Yeah. He was like one of them early adopter. But the thing about there's this whole thing, probably your neighbour feels this as well, range anxiety.
Yes.
Where, oh my God, I'm going to run out of charge, and then where can I charge it? And ironically, there's more charging points than there are petrol stations in this country.
Weird.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, to your point about, boomer households having a drive, younger people are really struggling with accommodation. Housing market's a nightmare. Yeah. So that infrastructure is becoming more important. If you're going to be targeting those people, I mean, yes, £100,000 is a lot, but flats, etc., need to have more charging points.
Yeah, I mean, and just more public charging points, and not the billions of apps that you have to all download, like the parking apps, so annoying. Different parking apps for different boroughs, stupid.
So I'm wondering if Jaguar is delaying their launch in the hope that infrastructure will improve.
Infrastructure is definitely going to
try and get
improve,
that sweet spot, where people are more accepting of EVs actually the infrastructure's improved a bit and that little sweet spot where both will meet.
Yeah. Fundamentally. I mean, people who've got $100,000 to drop on a car probably don't live in the kind of flat that I live in. No. But I do want an electric car, for sure. But I can't charge it at home. So I'd have to investigate where the charging points are and all of that. And are they more expensive than just plugging it into your own personal electricity? I don't know. I haven't investigated it, but I do want one. But basically, there's a whole thing is once it's an experience. It's one of them experiential things. You don't know you like it. You've got all these kind of prejudices against it. Oh, range anxiety. Oh, where do I charge it? I don't really know how to do that. Oh, that's going to be a real pain in the arse. It sounds like a blooming milk van, it's ridiculous. I like a room. It's not going to be powerful enough. You're going to put your foot on the pedal. It's going to be like a go-kart. All of that is completely out the window for the majority of people when you actually use it and get it. So it's very difficult to sell that in a way because you've got to kind of mitigate all of that sort of
the balance of performance has got to be such a pleasurable experience that you're willing to put up with all of that.
Yeah, well, put up with all of that is actually some of that isn't actually true. So when you put they're really powerful, some of them.
Yeah, some
of them. Off you go. But it's not rum. It's
hence the fact that they have an electric Formula One.
What Jaguar are trying to do, they're trying to sell it as an art object. That's why they're doing it with Miami Art Week, and it is an art object. No one except very few people are going to be dropping $100,000 plus on a car. Yeah. Really, come on. So why not sell it as an art object? Yeah. The method with which they're selling it as an art object could do with a bit more craft, personally. Okay. But that is my personal opinion.
See, I'm quite open-minded about the EV Jag thing. Absolutely. I'm happy to be open-minded about that. What I am really quite shocked at is the vociferousness of the reaction to that teaser.
Yeah, I thought it was very unfair.
I thought it was amazingly big. The size of that reaction was, how many views have they had?
It's 1.8 million views over the last 6 days, which, I mean, I don't know if I'm of the opinion of all news is good news. I know that, blooming Oscar Wilde said the only thing worse of being, talked about badly is not being talked about at all.
Yes.
It's got 30,000 comments, probably 29,995 of them are negative.
That's a ratio, isn't it?
Shall we read out some of my favourite comments?
Go on,
It's really hilarious. Okay, Marina Hyde in The Guardian wrote a column about it.
Oh.
I'd be quite happy if she wrote a column about my brand. But anyway, she says, now people of all backgrounds won't buy its car, which I thought was very funny.
Ooh, cutting.
Yeah, and then she says, you're releasing a tired mess. So that's basically the execution, which is a bit harsh, I think. 2 weeks post a Donald Trump election victory. And amid the undeniable sense that there's been a vibe shift on the era of woke capitalism, which is true. There has been a bit of a vibe shift, especially because Donald Trump won, which I'm still not over. But anyway.
I do like the one Jaguar's pronouns were, was, that, were. That's a bit harsh. Was, were. You're selling cars to rich people, not the Teletubbies. The hilarious thing is, the people that they're trying to show this advert to won't even know who the Teletubbies are.
Oh, yeah. This rebranding is going to be studied in marketing classes and colleges around the world for the next 50 years on how to instantly drive a prestigious brand directly into a wall at full speed, which I think is stupid because, yes, okay, it is a prestigious brand, but it's dying, guys.
It's moribund.
Lots of people are saying it's a parody.
How to alienate our legacy owners while not attracting new buyers.
Yeah.
Double whammy.
And then there was a backlash against the backlash, which I like. So Robert Mayhew on TikTok, he's hilarious. Go and follow him. Mark Road Rage Ritson doesn't like it. Do you think he's still got a driving license? The old brand was perfect. Translation: I haven't bought a Jaguar in 15 years, but boy, do I have opinions. I saw that on LinkedIn. I can't remember who posted it. I'm sorry, I didn't reference you properly, but well done.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, and then I did read quite a bunch of stuff about like this guy from Attitude. So, okay, context. The first thing I saw, aside from like marketing people on LinkedIn saying it was terrible, this Daily Mail piece, which basically named and shamed.
Yeah, as I said right at the beginning, that is off. Nobody should do that.
It's absolutely disgusting.
And as much as I dislike the Daily Mail, that's just rage bait and holding up a fall guy for this ad. And let's be honest, if the agency did it, somebody signed it off. It was
internal.
It was done internally, was it? Yep. Okay. Well,
sorry.
If it was done internally.
Sorry, in-housing.
But the point is, if it was done in-house, in that case, there was probably a good 50 people involved.
Oh, if that. I mean, there's going to be loads of people, loads and loads of people. So to single out some person
is off.
He's gay, he's got a husband, and he's got a dog. Like, they mentioned his dog.
Oh my God.
He's a cavapoo or something like that, which is such
not a cavapoo.
Gay dog, oh my God. And they basically trolled his personal Facebook thing, and put pictures of him. I thought it was so awful, but probably worse than being gay. In the Daily Mail, he's American in New York, messing with our beloved British brand. It's absolutely rank, the way that they were basically being completely and utterly homophobic.
Yep.
And you know, just naming and shaming this poor guy. And also they picked up on him giving this speech at a diversity and inclusion awards thing, and that's what they used to justify why it was somehow wrong, because he's like a real champion of diversity. I'm just like, I'll just do one, Daily Mail, fuck off.
That is crap journalism in my book.
Well, it's not even journalism, it's just disgusting, that's what it is.
Rage bait. I get it, it's clicks and views, but I think that's not news. They just held him up as an opportunity to have a go, and I think that's crap.
It's really awful.
But I also think that so for me, would I sign this off? That's a hard no. No, I wouldn't. But I am very, very, very shocked at the size of the reaction to it. I'm thinking this is an advert which, and one of the reasons I love working in marketing is that you go into work, you have a really good laugh. Some days it works, some days it doesn't, but nobody dies
Nobody dies.
Nobody dies.
Yeah.
And then you go home and you live to fight another day. And
We're not like ER doctors.
Exactly.
Thank God.
I'm not a thoracic surgeon. I'm not a lawyer. People's lives aren't on the risk on the line for this sort of thing. So I think the vociferous reaction is weird in my book.
I personally don't like a big pile-on. I don't like this kind of crowing of how could this happen? This is terrible. I mean, I've been on like teams when things haven't gone so well.
We all have.
And public have been outraged and all of this kind of stuff and boycotting and all of that. It feels terrible, And so you wouldn't sign the execution off, no?
No.
So for me personally, the execution doesn't get the sign off from me, but the intention behind it and the strategy behind it does.
Okay.
Yeah, totally. Because they've got a serious problem, dying brand, sales are plummeting.
No, I agree with that. They have to do something.
The strategy to sell it as an art object for over $100,000 and make margin on fewer sales.
Interesting.
That makes sense because they've done it with Land Rover and they've seen success with Land Rover. So it makes sense to retain some of the heritage of copy nothing or a copy of nothing. They should have just had the quote rather than the actual. This obsession with like action verbs and like 2-word sentences I don't like. I think that is tired. So the copy of nothing to retain the brand. They didn't ditch the cat, thank God. That would have been madness. So that actually, is good.
Yep.
I don't mind the new logo personally. I don't mind this kind of sans serif font with I quite like the sort of odd capital letter in the middle. That's quite interesting and has meaning. But the actual 30 seconds, like on the cutting room floor of the Fifth Element thing.
Yeah.
No, that doesn't get the sign off.
Yeah,
Sorry, team that worked on it. I know you've worked very, very hard for a long time. And the furore and the pylon can do one for me.
However, I will sign off on the very, very funny memes. They're very, very good.
Oh God, it's memeable, I think that was quite unintended memeable. I don't know what the actual intention was.
I think the nasty pylon is not right, but I do think the funny riffs off it are that it is the funny, nice bit of the internet. I think if you're going to add to it and be creative and launch off it, then fair dues. But just sitting there and crowing and saying how shit it is, no, that's not for me.
Absolutely not for me. So there we go. Well, Liz, that's another fine podcast in the bag. I hope you enjoyed the chit chat and found something useful.
Follow us on socials at the Sign Off Podcast, where a new episode is out every 2 weeks. Send your questions and comments to signoffpodcast@gmail.com.
See you next time.